Good evening, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
I hope that you are enjoying your week. Now, look, we've had the whiplash of weather this week. We started out very cold, and then now here in the state of Georgia, we are up to 70 degrees.
Well, actually, we're here in Southwest Virginia. Same thing. Very, very cold. And now it's itching back up. I don't know what to wear.
Speaking of what to wear, we've had a really interesting fall. I would say interesting in that it's been enlightening. For those of you who maybe this is the first time you are meeting us, so I guess I should introduce myself. And so I am Dr. Kendra Washington Bass, and along with my illustrious partner, Kelly Peaks Horner, we are the co founders of the Lucy Leadership Project and co authors of Unwrap, the Pursuit of Justice for Women Educators. And we are so happy that you are going to be tuning in and listening to not only our Book Talk Lives, but we have something that we want to unwrap for you as you're going into the holiday season and into the new year. And we're so excited. So speaking of like, you don't know what to wear, we most recently did a photo shoot. We are truly living into our unwrapping as we continue to shed the layers of weight that we've been holding and showing up as our authentic selves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no better time of the year. I guess it's symbolic that we're going to what we're going to talk about tonight, and that we're going to pull the curtain back on something. And I was thinking about this today, Kendra. Not something that even though we hunkered down this last weekend and really did some work and some strategizing, I think we've been building up to this moment for probably 5 years since we sat down in 2020 and decided to write this book together, and trying to figure out how do we share it with not just our sisters in education, but women leaders, no matter how you identify yourself,
Right.
where you work. And so I'm so excited. And when I think about this time of year, it's still fall when it decides it
Yes.
wants to be. It's still fall. And we often think about fall as things are dying, but actually, fall is the time when things are being born again. It's when nature is really in its most productive self and getting itself ready
Yeah.
to to expose and reveal itself to the world in the spring. So I just think that symbolically, this is such a great time to have this conversation and to put in the world what it is that we worked on.
Well, and today, while I was in a meeting, there was someone who uh, noticed the picture behind my head, and this beautiful picture of these two women. You don't really see their faces, but they have these head wraps on. And I was explaining to her that a few years back, that you and I had this conversation that led to what you see today. And this conversation about how, as a woman in leadership, you show up, the way that you see yourself inwardly, right? I mean, most when you think about yourself as a child, at least when I thought about myself as a child, it's like, how do I want people to see me? You would play dress up, or you would put on mom's makeup or some clothes or something that in your mind said, I want to be that thing.
Mhm.
And even as an adult, as adults, we still walk around going, I want to be that thing. We have constant manifestations.
Mhm.
So this idea of being 50 years old and still having this manifestation that I am not showing up in the way that feels right. And this idea, this audacity to try to wear a head wrap to work led to a transformation, led to courage to do go against the grain, but the grain is not even good for you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I'm eating that grain and it doesn't feel right. And finally being able to do that and come out on the other side like, well, that actually didn't hurt. It actually was invigorating. And so this reminder of this beautiful picture that you gave me, Kelly, as a gift is still part of the unwrapping. So many of you will start to hear we have this theme of unwrapping, and more times that we use it, not just for the book, but this metaphor for what it means, as you just said, during this time in the fall when the leaves are shedding off trees, when animals are gathering for the winter. It is our time to interrogate who we are. It's our time to think about what we need to shed
Mhm.
at this moment so that when we kind of look into the future, we are becoming. I mean, there's a reason why there's so many books written by prominent women, as you know, like a Viola Davis or Michelle Obama, and this idea of becoming. It is walking into your purpose. And
Yeah.
so I am really happy that we have gotten to this place over the past 3 years. We've been doing the work of Unwrap, but the 5 years we've been just trying to understand who we are at this juncture is leading us to where we are today on this Book Talk Live. So many of you who have watched the Book Talk Lives in the past, we've always had a guest on. But this one is special. We wanted to devote this particular Book Talk Live to us and
Mhm.
to sharing where we are. It also is symbolic that is happening in November because both of us share birthdays in
Mhm.
the month of November. And again, nothing happens by accident. This
I
is
mean, we are only days apart. Well, we're years apart, but we're only days apart in birthdays. We're
right.
4 days apart in birthdays.
Yeah. So if you're joining us and you're looking for the guest speaker for this Book Talk Live, here we are. We are it, and we have just some exciting news to share about what's coming in 2026. So to help us sort of talk through this and to help us to be engaged with you all, if you are watching on Facebook, if you're watching on LinkedIn, and if you're watching on um, YouTube, we would love for you in the chat or in the space where you can type some, just drop us a hello. Let us know who's here. We really want to know who's in the room
Yeah, we
because
wanna
when
engage.
you're in the room where it happens. Little
Yeah.
Hamilton. Okay. So Kelly, why don't we just talk about what's coming up for us? And I'll start with just again another reintroduction. So hello, everyone who's watching. Again, put something in the chat, and I think there is something in the chat. Thank you, Crystal Edwards. She said happy birthday. I appreciate
Oh,
you. Thank you,
Crystal.
Crystal, for showing up and listening. So welcome back to Book Talk Live. Again, we are your host, and I am Dr. Kendra Washington Bass. And this again is my sister in purpose, Kelly Peaks Horner.
Oh, thank you. And we are here tonight we're just so excited un to pull the curtain back and to um really unwrap a journey for you all to take that as I said before, I think we've been creating this in our head some way. It's been there probably for 5 years
Yes.
since we started writing the book. Um, and I think we created a way that is just when it's the whole acronym of KISS. We finally figured out how to keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would also say one of the reasons I love that we use the word unwrap is because so often women enter these kinds of journeys for themselves and they feel like they need to be fixed.
Yeah.
And we're not at all suggesting that any of us need to be fixed. We just need to figure out what are those things we need to put down because they're heavy? What are those things that we need to pick up because they're going to serve us better? And then what are those stories and experiences we've been told on and over and over again that don't serve us anymore? So that's why we use the word unwrap. And it really is a framework or a blueprint to help you lead, live, and thrive with courage, with authenticity, but also with joy.
Yes, for sure. And we have some additional folks who are saying hi. So Nicole, Thank you for joining and listening in. Christina, we share birthdays. She says she's a November birthday as well. There's
Ah,
just
happy
something
birthday,
about those
Christina.
sort of Scorpios and Sagittarius that just warms my heart. And, again, to reiterate what Kelly just said, unwrap is about reclaiming. There's something about that prefix of reclaiming your leadership story and moving from surviving to thriving. And for some women, especially women of color, we're suffering. So how do we move from suffering to thriving with intentionality and with strength? And when I say strength, I'm not talking about the superhero cape strength. I'm talking about courage to stand in our purpose, courage to be who we are, courage to put down the armor, and the courage to set a boundary, and the courage to claim that you want to be well. So, we're going to share with you what that means as we talk about what we're trying to claim. So, why unwrapped?
So we talked a little bit about this already, and that is, we talk about unwrap because women educators, and let's just say women leaders everywhere, and we define leader broadly, very
Mm-hmm.
broadly. If you are committed, if you're dedicated, if your mission is to help people in any way, to help people, students, co-workers, team members get better, to make impact, if you are dedicated to looking at systems and structures and making those
Mm-hmm.
better and more inclusive, whatever that is, however you define leader, you're invited into this community. Kendra and I have about both are educators, and we wrote the book specifically with our lived experience as educators in mind. But we can broaden that definition. Uh,
Right.
One of the things we talk about so often is that what we do every day is we try to navigate a system. And this is of most systems, not just education, but education
Right.
specifically, that was never created for us to be leaders. They were created for us to be the nurturers. It's why you see a lot of women end up in human resources. It's why you
Right.
see, in education, in writing the book, we went back and looked at the history of education, and it was very clear that we were meant to be the nurturers in the classroom because we naturally take care of children, right? We're the nurturers. We were
Right.
never meant to become leaders, superintendents, principals, assistant principals, whatever that means. We were never. So that system still exists
Yeah.
no matter where, in what industry you're in. And so what we're trying to do on a regular basis is swim upstream, or be that duck where we're looking calm and cool, and we've got all the things on, and but underneath we are paddling like hell.
That's right.
Our legs are going like this, and we're trying to figure it all out. And if you look at all the data coming from the pandemic lockdown, more women came out of the workforce than any other demographic, because we are still socialized to take care of family, to
Mm-hmm.
be the ones that take. So we came out of the workplace, we came out of the workforce to take care of kids who suddenly were doing school online, or we needed to navigate some things differently. So we're trying to navigate those systems that were not created for us. We're not
Mm-hmm.
created for us to rise to leadership positions. And what happens is we hustle for our worthiness.
Right.
We morph into what it is they think they want from us and want us to be. And when you look at the data, what they want us to be is a white, cisgendered male with a spouse or partner at home to take care of all the family responsibilities. And that's how leadership is set up. And it's why, unless we disrupt that system, and when I say disrupt, it might mean we massively disrupt it, or we just show up differently, like maybe wearing a head wrap to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so it disrupts that system to say, hey, I can lead a nationally recognized leadership development program
Right.
and wear my head wrap.
That's right.
So that's what we're talking about when we talk about this idea of unwrapped. It's how do we start to lean into our authenticity, put down the hustler, not 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 learn how to stay in that system, but how do we disrupt that? One of our values at Lucy Leadership is disruption. How do we
Right.
disrupt that system? And then I have to put the third one in, Kendra, and that is, how do we move from just being an ally for one another and we really become co-conspirators?
Yeah, and Kelly, what Kelly just described is heavy, and I want to layer it with women of color, and specifically um, Black women, Asian women, Indigenous women. I also want to layer on our queer sisters,
Yep.
our our um, our sisters who um, are disabled. I hate to use that word, but our sisters who are abled. um, and there is this additional weight of us expectation to show up. And what Kelly just described, if the archetype of a leader still in the minds of people is to show up as a white male, cisgendered,
Mhm.
with a spouse and children at home, how I show up in that archetype butts up against what society has said is the norm.
Mhm.
Now, is there anything wrong with a white man being in a position of leadership? No. But if that is the only, if that is the preferred, if that is how people's mental models of what leadership looks like, then for women of color, for queer women, for women with other disabilities, when we show up, it causes a ripple. It actually, people even look past us. And so we are thinking about, so what does it look like for us to stand again in that power? What does it mean to think about, are we being too small? Now, there are certain aspects of this work being unwrapped that is scary, that in some cases are dangerous. But we're trying to create community, which is another one of our values. We should not be doing this alone. We need each other to back each other up, to go from what Kelly just described, from an ally to a co conspirator. So that is what our mission is in Lucy Leadership Project. It is always to prepare and empower women and equip them with the tools and the strategies and the community, not doing this alone, to expand access to leadership. The other piece around this is that we want to make sure that women understand that when they go back into systems after having engagements with us in Lucy Leadership Project, that they're not going back to the systems and reverting back. And when we also work with women, we don't ask you that by the time you finish with working with us, that everything is going to be ponies and roses. We just want you to you always say, Kelly, 10% braver, 10% more unwrapped. It's like peeling it slowly because you've taken, I mean, for me, 50, I'm about to say 58 years. I almost made myself 58. 53 years of the layers that I've been wearing.
Mhm.
And now to be able to unwrap some of those and see what's underneath, it takes time. Some cases it takes therapy, right? Which is something we don't do, but it also takes time and space to do that. So we want to introduce you to Unwrap and what that means for us going forward in 2026.
Yeah. So the Unwrap Framework, and it's a framework for us to talk about it, to
Mhm.
reference it, to think about it. But what it really is a journey. And I love that word journey because
Yeah,
it isn't a again, I go back to, it isn't about every element is going to teach you how to fix yourself, because we don't
right.
need to be fixed. We're already outstanding because we are women.
That's right.
So hello. So we're already there. So it's really a journey that we invite you to go on. Um, and it's a journey that you might begin with us, and it may continue for another 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And you go back to, like Kendra said, we always like to talk about 10%. How can you take 10% of what we talk about and
Mhm.
make a change today? Then you make another 10 change maybe 6 months later, another 10%. And that's the journey. The journey is first knowing what it is that we need, why things are happening, and then really understanding, where do I want to stand? How do I
Mhm.
want to stand? How do I want to show up? And also, how do I want to show up for one another? This
That's
idea of
right.
community, when Kendra and I started Lucy Leadership, I remember us having a conversation, and we said, well, what void are we trying, what gap are we trying to fill? And the gap that we're trying to fill is this. How many of you, and you can just say this to you, answer this question in your head, how many of you have been to conferences, women's conferences, and you are pumped? You come out, whether they're a whole day conference. I was just at one recently, a whole day conference, a 2 day conference, and we are pumped, and we are singing sisterhood, and we've been singing kumbaya, and we are doing the thing, right? We are in community with one another. Then we go back to our respective workplaces, and reality kicks in.
Mhm.
Then we have to wait another year before we get together in sisterhood and
Right.
sit and do all the things again. And that was one of the things that we're trying to fix, is that how do we build community so that when we fall, we can pull each other up? When we have questions, we can say, well, this is the way it worked for me. We can be there to hold each other when we need to be held, and to celebrate each other when we need to celebrate.
Yeah, so it's like creating this ecosystem.
Yeah, love that.
The other piece around that, Kelly, is you make all of these connections with these women. Y'all exchanging ideas, information, and you go off and you're like, I need to leverage that person, and then it's crickets. It's like, y'all, what are we doing here? We need each other. And while you may not be able to offer something as tangible in that moment, it's your shoulder, it's your listening ear, it's someone to ideate with. It is someone who can just say, I understand your story, I validate that. So here's what's interesting. I was at a conference,
Mhm.
and I was in one of the rooms. This person was presenting, and she was doing a really good job of presenting. And she presented these 3 R's. And she was like, that's my framework. This R, that R, that R. And I went, oh my goodness, Eureka. For Unwrap, we've been doing this work of well-being and boundary setting, and from imposter syndrome, talking about scarcity, and the coaching and the keynotes. And it's like, we have all of this content and have all of this, and it's like, oh, it's an unwrapped framework. It is the roadmap to how you begin the unwrapped journey. And I scribbled it down on a piece of paper, and I just showed it to Kelly recently. I was like, this is the notebook. This is what I wrote. And it's not a cute acronym, y'all. I mean, it's cute, but it's not meant to be just a cute acronym with some fluff. Like, each of these letters mean something. So let me just go through the Unwrap framework with you really quickly. And if y'all are still with me, like in the chat, come on, y'all, show us the love. Like, we really want to speak into what we're saying, right? We don't want you to leave us hanging. We're not going to leave you hanging. So I see Crystal said hustle for work. That's certainly captured her experience, right?
Yes.
Christina said thank you for her birthday.
Was that Crystal Edwards?
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, Christina said thank you. So let's talk about you, right? Understand your story. This is about the origin, and we're going to get to that in even more detail in just a moment, right? This is reflecting on your own experiences, the things that shaped you and your identity, how you show up right now. N is name the thing. Hey, Keena, I see you. Name the thing. Clearly define the challenges you face today, right? It's just name it. And Kelly, when I named my thing, it was my hustling. Kelly, when you named your thing, it was you were the peacemaker. But in order for us to name the thing that sort of morphed us into who we are, we had to know our story.
Yep.
Once we named the thing, once I knew I was a hustler, now I want to understand, like, so what is unique about that hustling, and what other strengths am I not leveraging that makes me fabulous, right? Then I want to go into the R. I want to reframe that narrative. I don't necessarily want to hold on to the hustling um, moniker, right? I really want to shift my perspective and create new, empowering stories, right? I want to rewrite what other people might be writing about me. I want to take control of that. The next is A, aligning to my purpose. I don't know how many times I've been saying to people, it's like, you look different. We're watching you, right? We're watching you on social media. We see you walking. What is it? I'm aligned to my purpose.
Yeah.
When you are clear that you are doing what you love, you do look different. You sound different. Like, I am good tired. I'm not tired because I'm loathing going to work. I'm not tired because uh, Fannie Lou Hamer say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I mean, there's that too, but I'm doing what I absolutely love to do. I'm jazzed to do it. I'm in my head like, oh, when can I do that next?
Mhm.
And then last but not least, because I'm in my purpose, you begin to prioritize what's strong. You protect it at all costs. You're using your mind, body, and soul to really lean into, well, what is it that makes me fabulous? Because I'm going to hold it steady. And these ebb and flow. There's certain periods in your life where you will have to go back through this framework. But this is where we landed on. And for each of these words, each of these moments, this framework, as you go through it, is experiences in Lucy Leadership Project that we can walk you through.
Yeah, there's an element. Each of these, there's 6 elements to the framework, and each element has an experience.
Yeah. And Cindy says your story helps you understand why you take on certain roles like hustler and peacemaker. Your story provides the context. That's exactly it. And thank you, Cindy, for being
100%.
here. I'm so loving our sisters who we've grown to love and respect showing up here for us. And we hope that we are reciprocating by showing up for you. So let's talk a little bit about what is going on in terms of this framework, because we're going to show you, or at least unwrap for you, the you part of the story in just a moment.
Yeah. So the framework was born out of our book.
Yes.
Okay, give me a
Oh,
moment.
yep.
Because I wore my shirt because I thought it matched the book. It's just what we do sometimes, right?
That's right. That's right.
So the framework was born out of our book, and the heart of our book. And when I think about it, Kendra, it was the heart of our book, but it was also the way it was born,
Yeah,
because we spent I almost the so we spent 2 years writing it, and probably all close to the first year was the origin story.
that's correct.
And our process was we would meet once a week for about an hour, and Kendra would read what I wrote, and she'd say, nope, I need to know more about what happened in this part of your life. I need to know more about this. And so she would pull it from me. And that was she and I were each other's community, right? We
Mhm.
were each other's sisters, partners in that. And then I would read something about her and go, that's interesting. I want to know why you did this. So going through that process of writing our origin story was so important. It was, for me, it was that huge aha moment,
Mhm.
that had I not sat down and really thought about what stories that those experiences were telling me, because it doesn't matter what your past is, it doesn't matter what those stories are, and whether or not we believe them, or whether what was told to us was true, it somehow impacted how we showed up. And so when we sat and we wrote that origin story, and we'll talk more a little bit about this in a bit, I realized I was the peacekeeper. And from when I say early age, I mean probably from 8, 9, 10 years old. And I
Mhm.
took that with me everywhere I went, and it did not serve me.
Right. Oh, I think about this book as I say it's a love story to women, but it also is a love story to ourselves.
Yeah.
to truly, and there are some authors on this chat. I see Edith. Thank you so much, Edith. It's an author. I know that Jillian is an author, and so women have been pouring themselves into these stories. And as the quote says, we must intentionally know and own our own stories to unwrap the social conditioning that we all experience as young girls growing up with gender expectations and write a new, bold, courageous, vulnerable ending for ourselves and other women. This was our love story. This was what made me wake up from this person. Now, let me just use this word for a minute, and I don't mean it in the way that people seem to have carried it, which is imposter. I truly was an imposter in my own skin. And I'm not talking about imposter like I don't know if I can do it. I was like, who the heck is that lady? She looked different. She sounded different than what I even imagined she would be. And so to be able to take the time, the year, 2 years we had together, Kelly, to write where did this come from was my way of understanding why I do what I do. And it was healing. The other thing I'll say that Kelly and I don't shy away from, and as you might see, I am a Black woman and she's a white woman.
Right.
And to be honest, I didn't know that I would be writing this book and sharing it with a white woman. And part of it has to do with my experiences with white women and white men, is as part of my story. But there was something about this experience. It was something about our ability to, for the moment, like lay it down for a second and show each other who we were, and then understand from both of our perspectives as a white woman, as a Black woman, what it means to be in sisterhood in this way. Now, not everybody's going to be cool with that, and that's okay. We are modeling what it can be. We are putting ourselves out there in front of our friends and peers and naysayers and advocates and saying, Kelly and I are figuring out a way, in a cross racial way, to show up for each other as women and to hold space and to create safety in that. And that is not easy. We are in constant communication. We are in constant conversation about the world around us. In our own specific spaces, we're doing our own unwrapping work, and then we're doing unwrapping work together. And I think that is courage.
Yeah.
And that is what we hope we're creating in this community through using ourselves as examples, as models. We're going to practice what we're preaching when we're talking about unwrap. I just love I had to say the other day, that's a no for me. I just love that boundary sentence for myself. That is a no. And I am not afraid to say it to whomever. If it protects who I am, if it protects my peace and my sanity, if it makes me whole so that I can really show up for everyone, and to do all the things that I love to do. I'm not saying no to the work, but I'm saying no to how you access me in a way that keeps me grounded and keeps me moving forward. So that's part of being unwrapped. That is the story we want you to write for yourself. So, what happens next? So, here is what we want you to do, because we have many women online right now. And thank you again for just tuning in and listening. And if you're able now, if you're driving, please do not type. Well, look, pull over though, because we want you. So, Kelly, here's the question. How did you become the woman and leader you are today? If you're able, in the chat, maybe a sentence or so. How did you become? Maybe you already kind of know the thing you can name. Uh, maybe you're still figuring it out, but what is it? Kelly, how did you become the woman and leader you are today?
Whew. So I'm still on that journey. And I am not the woman or the leader I was 5 years ago
Yeah.
when you and I started talking in 2020.
Yep.
Um, and that's clear because I knew I had been coming out of my own, I like to refer to it as my workplace trauma, since it actually, put me into some physical unhealthiness,
Yeah.
whatever you call it. Um, so I had come through that and I knew at that moment I couldn't keep going the way I was going. And
Mhm.
writing our story helped me understand how I got where I was.
Yeah.
And where I was being that peacekeeper, saying yes to everything, not speaking up for myself
Mm.
or for, quite honestly, for others because I didn't want to disrupt the peace. It would make things uncomfortable for people. It would, um, it would, it would just not it would disrupt, right? And it would
Mhm.
get in the way of work, so just keep going, Kelly. Just keep plowing through, just keep going. Don't say anything. Don't make a fuss.
Yep.
So I let things just happen. I let things be said to me. I let myself play small. I remember very clearly when I was being asked to consider being a keynote speaker for the organization I used to work with. And someone said to me, "You don't want to do that. You don't want to take that on. You don't really." And I went, "Oh, I don't? Okay. Okay, I don't." And so I didn't. And if it was me
Yeah.
today, I would have said, "You know what? Thanks for sharing, but I want to do that thing. And I'll go pursue that." So I'm a very different woman and leader than I was
Mhm.
even 5 or 6 years ago. And I think part of that um, includes uh, wanting to be a co-conspirator in in every room I'm in. So
Mhm.
several years ago, I listened to he was a social justice activist, and someone in the audience, and he was a black man. He was a black
Mhm.
queer man, and
Mhm.
he said, someone in the audience had asked the question, how what is the role for people, white folks, in the fight for and this was during the racial reckoning of
Mhm.
2020, right? What is our role? And he said something to me that shook me to my core. He didn't say it to me, he said it to the audience. But I feel like he was like going, "Kelly, this is what I'm saying to you." And he said, "Tell the truth in every room you're in,
Mm.
no matter who's in that room."
Mm.
And when I think about that, and I think about no putting down that heavy baggage of being the peacekeeper, I do tell the truth in every room I'm in. And it can get me in trouble. And it can get me in trouble when you and I are together because you are telling your experience as a black woman.
Yeah, I know. It's just par for
I'm
the course.
talking to my community and I'm telling them, yes, you have privilege. Yes, you can use it. Yes, your privilege is your currency. Spend that currency. Use it for the benefit of other women. Community doesn't just mean I'm going to show up. Community means I'm going to speak up when Kendra is at the end of the table, puts a great idea on the table. 20 minutes later, the white guy on the other end of the table says the same thing, and everybody thinks it's the second coming of whatever idea that was put on the table. And I'm going to say, hold on, she just said that 20 minutes ago. Would I have done that 6, 7, 8 years ago? Probably not.
Mhm.
But I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell the truth in every single room I'm in. And so that's the leader that I am today. And so when you and I show up together, I got to
Yeah.
talk to my white sisters
Yeah.
and I got to tell them community means you need to become a safe co conspirator and you need to do your own work separate from this work.
Mhm.
And I think I would just, let me just add this real quick. Back in 2020, when you talked about, when you just said, we never thought that, you'd be doing this work with a white woman. When the stars start to align, I think part of what aligned was because our nation was going through a racial reckoning by watching George Floyd's murder, and others, not just his, that we finally started seeing some things that we didn't visually see, but
Mhm.
saw it now. I started doing my own work. I started reading the books. I started asking the questions. And part of that also means being in partnership with you to be open to your feedback of how I might show up in a system that benefits me,
Mm-hmm.
in a system I take for granted, to be comfortable in a room where I am the minority, where I am not, and I'm comfortable in those rooms. So that's the leader that I've evolved into today that
Yeah.
I wasn't probably 6 years ago, 7 years ago, but that this is the journey I'm on. And when you say being in your purpose, oh, who knew 6 years ago this was my purpose? But everything that led up to that makes me the leader and the woman I am today.
Yeah, and actually you got to shout out like everyone needs a Kelly in their lives. Um there's some responses in the chat about what women are becoming. We've had someone say they're evolving in their leadership style and belief. We have someone saying they're developing still. However, they owe a lot of the passion and transparency to their aunt and father. Other women call out strengths in me and that God, their faith is driving them. We have someone saying that it's always evolving, that servanthood is both
Mm,
a strength and a weakness, especially if doing so helps children. So constant reflections. She said, why I constantly evaluate why I say yes and why I didn't say no.
mm,
So this is the idea. This is not the answer right away. There's no quick fixes to this, but there is something said about recognition, the ability to pause and take time to try to understand who you are. I think as women in leadership, and I don't want to generalize, so I'll just say myself. And I'm just busy, 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 busy. I do get something out of busyness. It's also part of my top five strengths, which is achiever. But busy, busy, busy. And until my body said, girl, sit down. And it made me sit down, even though I didn't want to sit down. Right. My head was still going, keep working, keep working, keep working. Um, it's killing us.
yeah.
It's absolutely killing us. The second thing is we don't take the time to slow down to even know our own worth. We're so busy trying to please others and to get approval from others that we forget we're already beautifully made. And then the third is the silence allows you to ask the question that someone asked in the chat, like, so why are you doing this? And I think for me, I kept busy and I still have to combat that because I'm really busy these past few weeks, but I kept busy to not have to face myself to answer the question.
Avoidance.
Avoidance. So ladies who are on here, even the gentlemen, if you are like busy, 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 what do you, what do you
Why are you
what are
afraid
you
of the
not, yeah,
silence?
what are you not reckoning with? For me, I was reckoning with that part of that hustle was approval,
Mhm.
worth, validation. Am I doing a good job? Now I don't need that now, right? Like I've
Yeah.
morphed out of like I know I'm good. I know I'm doing a good job. I know it because I feel it, and I'm purposeful, and I plan, and I practice all the work that I do when I facilitate and coach. Like I'm using the skills for sure,
Yeah.
right? I'm constantly interrogating my own stuff, right? But good gracious, sometimes I just didn't want to sit back and be quiet and listen to little Kendra in the head go, girl, you're avoiding something.
Mhm.
So if that is you, if you're thinking about that, come on this journey with us. And this is how we're going to get there. We want to share with you the you. For us, the you in the Unwrap framework starts right here. It starts with you. So, Kelly,
So it starts with understanding your story, right?
yep,
Writing your origin story. Um, every woman has different experiences. Every woman is coming to similar leadership roles
Hmm.
with, I'm going to go back to an amazing talk you gave once, Kendra. We all coming with a different bag with different stuff
In it.
inside that bag.
That's
Some
right.
of us are carrying bags that are light and maybe small. Some of us are carrying bags that are large and
Hmm.
very heavy. And so, and in that bag are all those experiences, stories, messages that you were told from when you were a little girl.
Hmm.
And what were those messages and what were those stories? And here's the thing, we're going to start you on that journey. You're going to have some ahas. You're going to have some, oh, yeah, I thought I knew it. And I'm going to go a little deeper here. You're going to have some of those, but know that your origin story is ongoing. It's an
Right.
ongoing journey. So we've written ours, but it's not over.
That's right.
I mean, we were sitting here next week. We wrote Unwrapped, but we didn't write the part about Lucy Leadership Project yet because we had not. Lucy wasn't born yet.
Right.
They wasn't it. So our journey continues, but you'll have the skills, you'll have the process in which to keep doing that. And even when you need to sit down, even a year later, and say, okay, what just happened over this year? It either went my way. What did I do to
Mhm.
make it go my way, or it didn't go my way? So it starts this process for you to start figuring out, why are you showing up the way you're showing up? What is it that's serving you that you want to keep doing and you want to strengthen?
Right.
What is not serving you because it's in your bag and it's heavy and it's weighing you down?
Yeah. And so here's how we're going to do it. In the first session called Understand Your Story, we're going to guide you through what we call the Unwrap Life River. And it's a reflective process that helps you connect the dots in your story. It is what happens during those bends. What are those boulders like? Where does it go really, really fast on your river? And where does it begin to slow down? Maybe there is a split. Maybe there's a ford, right? A fork in the road, per se. Maybe there's some dangers in that river. And so we're going to take you through that journey, and you're going to go through a writing exercise. Because in the end, we want you to begin shaping your origin story. So we didn't just pull this out of thin air, y'all, right? I mean, what it feels like it. No, it is rooted in research around storytelling. It also is rooted in ancestral um, legacy building. It's generational in how indigenous communities, African communities, um, African American communities use storytelling as a way of really understanding who we are and where we come from. And somehow we've lost some of the sort of purity of that storytelling. But research is clear that storytelling does a couple of things. It does three things, right? It helps build trust and connection, not just with other people, but with ourselves. I mean, that's part of that. It also engages us more in the brain because that's where we store our data. And stories are data, right? It is literally the thing that lights us up.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you said ancestral, I dug a little, you know me, I'm the data head and the researcher. So I dug a little into um, how indigenous communities really use storytelling. And there's three things that came up. They use it to teach, they use it to remember, and they use it to imagine what is possible.
Hmm.
And so that is storytelling. I mean, we could pull out Harvard Business Review, we could pull out Stanford studies,
Yep.
we could yeah, and you all know this, that storytelling is incredibly important to know your story. But those are the three things that we want to
Mhm.
take you through this process. And the three things is, what does your story teach you? What do you want to remember? And then what can you imagine is possible?
Yeah. And so let's start something here. Let's try it. And you all have been fantastic in the chat. I also want to recognize that someone mentioned that their leadership evolved when they matured and understood their own worth.
Ooh,
And now they're able to recognize and value other people's worth. See,
Yes.
that's the thing. When you start with yourself and you're clear, you begin to see it in others. So another person said, part of why they may not want to face the quiet could be part of the fight, flight, fright of freeze behaviors,
Right.
right? And that's real for adults, right? I mean, we are just little people grown up,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
still are the same, human being that's nurtured evolution of who we are. But let's try it. What I mean by let's try it, I want you to think about what moments shaped who you are today. Maybe what are the patterns that you're starting to see when you respond to challenges? And then lastly, what values are showing up across your story? So if you can in the chat, Kelly, I
Yeah.
want them to drop a word, right?
Yeah. Just drop a word or maybe one or two words that describe your story right now. So if I were to drop a word, be able to drop a word in, I might put in brave.
Mm,
I might put in co-conspirator. So what are the words that come to mind for you right now when you think about just a word or two that describes your story right now?
yeah. I'm trying to think of my word. I talked about this last time. I keep her right here. This is my emotionary.
Yes.
It's a dictionary of words that don't exist for feelings that do.
I love
And you
that.
see, I have it tabbed a little bit. So occasionally, a friends of mine ask, like, "What's the word today?" I don't want to make up a word. I want to really leverage a, 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 a word that everyone's familiar with. And so for me, I think the word that shaped who I am today, um, it is sisterhood. It is sisterhood. And the backstory to that, which is also in my origin story, is growing up as a little girl. And my mother and I talked about this the other day. I knew my great great grandmother, my great great grandmother Helen. I knew her. I knew my great grandmother Vivian, aka Bag. That's why there's a story about being a bag lady. She always carried bags, and that became her nickname. It's interesting how that name and that metaphor is indicative of the weight that women carry. I knew my grandmother, Barbara, of course, my mother, Karen, and me. And there is a picture of all of us in a row, the 5 generations of the Kemp family. And it was not uncommon to come out of my bedroom and see a living room full of women talking. Now, this is okay, this is 70s and 80s. So they're smoking, they're drinking, they are doling advice, they are ready to beat someone down to the white meat because it did something wrong. Like they all of that. And that's who I was surrounded by. So, being in a space full of women who were just dealing with the circumstances of moving from the South to the North and just trying to make ends meet and trying to raise families and raised cousins and others and play cousins and all of that. That's what I was around. I didn't call it sisterhood. I didn't think of it that way, but that's what it was. And then as I went to high school, and there was another group of sisters when I played basketball, and what that felt like to have my coach and my teammates, we were all from different places, just come together for this common thing called basketball. But it was really how we were shaping ourselves to be the women we were. If I didn't have those two experiences, the sisterhood of my own family and the strong women in my family, and I didn't have sort of my high school basketball team, I don't know if I would have made it through the college that I went to being predominantly white, coming from Harlem and the South Bronx there. I don't know if I would have had enough in the tank to push through, enough of my identity, enough of my worth to push through. Now, I was depleted there, but I had something that I was carrying with me. So in the in the chat, I see advocate is a word, a community and membership. Yes, someone asked about the book. It's the Emotionary. I mean, I found this at a little independent bookstore. It's called The Emotionary, a dictionary of words that don't exist for feelings that do, written by Eden Sher, Eden, and last name Sher. So, I support, independent book authors, and this little book has been a lifesaver. I hope she sells 1 billion of these books from me sharing so many times what's in here. So that's where we are now. Drum roll, please. So here we go.
How do you get there?
How do you get there? This is what Kelly and I have been working on for the past several months, and it was the eureka moment, and we want to invite you. This is it. The Unwrapped experience. We are putting together a virtual workshop called Understand Your Story. And these will be monthly workshops going through every one of the letters of the Unwrap Framework.
Each element.
Each element. And we want to know in the chat, because this is data right now. So if you can, in the chat, is this resonating for you? And I think we're trying to do a better job of collecting data on the spot. Of course, it's warming Kelly's heart because she's all in the data. I'm a storyteller. She's my data guru. If we were like departments, I'm human resources and she is assessment.
There you go. Research and assessment.
She's research and assessment. So is this resonating with you? Is this something that you are interested in exploring, learning about your story? And we hope that this does. It resonated for us. And we always go back to our origin story and go, goodness, what if we actually created space for women to actually begin unwrapping their origin story?
Yeah. And here's what I would invite you. If you say, absolutely, there's a bunch I need to unwrap, then also invite a sister to come with you.
Right.
I mean, so what you see here is I'm trying to think, I almost said blue plate special. Blue plate special. It's an early bird special. I'm thinking hot shops. You remember Junior Hot Shops?
Yes.
Early bird. We got to go to dinner at 4, Martha. Okay, let's go. So I'm thinking anyway. Okay. This is early special. So $149 tonight, and we'll probably hold this Kendra, for the next
3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at $140, and then it's going to go up to $179 right. So I would invite you to bring a sister along with you and start building the community, not only the Unwrapped community, but the community for yourself. So if you go through this experience on Saturday, January 31st, from 9 to 12 o'clock, it's virtual. So you don't have to leave. You'll be in the comfort of your own home.
Wear your jammies. It's going to be freezing cold anyway.
Wear your jammies. Have a warm beverage. We won't know what's in your cup.
Hot toddies work for us.
Just saying. But bring a sister along with you. So afterwards you can talk about, okay, where are you? How can I be there for you? You can start that allyship to co-conspirator with someone else. And this will be the first in 2026 of building this community, because every element is going to have an experience along the way.
Right.
And so you can come to this one and say, okay, I'm going to come to this one. Can't make the one in February. It's however you want to do it. But they culminate in that complete unwrapped journey that will take you through that entire experience. So jump on it today. Join us on Saturday, January 31st, and let us lead you through the experience that Kendra and I went through 5 years ago.
And there was a question in the chat. Is this $149 for 6 months? I wish we could do that, but that's a no for us. It's $149 for the experience. Each session, each letter is going to be about $149, right?
Yeah.
So think about that cost helping you to really be unwrapped. It's the beginning of the journey.
Well, and
You-
here I just want to say real quick, Kendra, that if you are in a position where you have access to funds through your employer or like professional development funds or anything like that, let us know. Email us at lucyleadershipproject@gmail and tell us what you need. Do you need a syllabus? Do you need an outline? Do you need anything like that? We will provide you with what you need if you can get some kind of assistance in that way. The other thing that I would say is this: there are a series of articles going on right now I believe it's in the New York Times. I can't remember if it's in the New York Magazine or New York Times, and they're very anti-woman. I think there was one out just recently about, are women, okay, I'm going to paraphrase the title, but it was something about, are women negatively impacting the workplace? And it's not the only one that's been out there. There's been like this series of them. Well, here's the thing. With what we're seeing going on in our world and country today, and if you look at the data of the countries that did better during COVID lockdown than others, these are countries that were led by women. Companies are different when they're led by women. They're actually better, and the metrics are better. So we can impact, I believe, the future very much. And if we look at what happened, even not making a political statement, it's just a fact. In the last election, more women were elected. We had more women elected governors.
Yes.
So I believe that the future is women, or you can say the future is female, however you want to say it. So invest in yourself. Don't be afraid to invest in yourself, because here's the thing: when you invest in yourself, and we sometimes think that's self-indulgent, but it's not. You are actually better for yourself, for the people you lead, for the people you work with, for the people you love and care for, when you have done something. Kendra, I'm going to steal your word.
Please.
You always say, think of investing in your own development as your spa moment.
It is.
And we would listen, if you went in my bathroom right now, you could see all the money I've spent on lotions and potions, because Kendra just turned 50 something. I'm turning 64, and I can't buy enough lotions and potions right now. So if I would turn in half of what's in my bathroom, I could buy this whole series 5 times over. And we're willing to do that, but we're not willing to invest in ourselves emotionally, understanding ourselves, in our own leadership, and in who we are. So I hope you are able to make this investment in yourself.
Yes.
And again, email us, lucyleadershipproject@gmail.com, if you need anything from us
Yeah.
for some kind of assistance.
And I will just want to underscore something Kelly says before we close. And that is, do not do this experience, especially starting with your unwrapped story, alone. Kelly and I did it together. And what a difference it made. I mean, it actually formulated our friendship in such a different way. I mean, we are way different with each other than we first sort of met and evolved. And it's my safe space. If I am feeling some kind of way, I can just text Kelly and say, girl, oh, this is
Period.
what happened.
Period.
Sometimes it's this girl, period.
Sometimes I'm like,
This
okay, get
girl.
on Zoom.
And it's like, oh man, right? Because she knows my story and I know hers. So when we can get tripped up, we can leverage that to help each other kind of right the ship back. It also allows you to break down the barriers of isolation
Yeah.
that usually comes with being a woman in leadership. And I'm not saying you don't have your curated group of sisters. I know that I do, but I'm really purposeful around that curation. And for this type of journey, you really want to have someone who will join your hand and be willing to hear your vulnerability and not judge it. Just listen, not say a word, but just be present for you as you reckon this. So, yes, Crystal, this is a small cost. And the reason why this is a small cost is we also recognize that our women right now are hurting in the business, in the workforce. As you know, over 300,000 Black women lost their jobs in this past 9, 10 months. We have women who have been suffering during the shutdown, and it doesn't just happen right away. And so we wanted to make this manageable. We also wanted to make sure our time was represented. And so this virtual experience, so the you is first. After you finish understanding your story in February, you're going to go with the N and you're going to name the thing. And that's going to be fantastic too. I don't want to spoil
Yep.
it yet, but
Yep.
we'll unveil each of these over the next several weeks so that you
Yep.
can see a clear picture.
It'll be a
So with
6 month
that,
up until June.
yes, so 6 months. So think half a year, this experience going through each letter. And in the end, we hope that you get to the P where you prioritize what is strong. So we want to thank you so much. I know we sent out personal text messages to you all, posts on our social media pages. Um, yes, Crystal, we do have the entire dates. We just have to confirm two others, but we have at
Yeah,
least
we
the
can put
first
those
four
out.
months for sure, and we're going to put those out by next week. Okay. But we want to thank you again for joining. And also, just a small little note. Do y'all notice our new pictures? We had a photo shoot recently. And by the way, do you notice our new look? We actually have a stylist, y'all.
I look like my book cover.
We have stylists. So I want to give props out to Keena Sage from Soj Emporium for these beautiful earrings, downtown Lawrenceville. If you are in Georgia, shout out to Keena. We want to shout out to Slay by Shay, and she helped us curate our beautiful clothing and outfits from our own closets, plus a few extra ones for our photo shoot. We want to just say thank you to our wonderful, wonderful project manager. Not going to say her name because I don't want y'all to steal her, but our project manager who is helping us right the ship, right? She's helping us be really clear about what our Unwrapped framework is. We want to thank Mary, who is our social media specialist, for the beautiful designs and social media posts. Y'all, these are all women.
That's our community.
we,
That's
we
another one part of our community.
we hire women because we are giving back to the women who've done this beautiful work. And y'all, we ain't asking for the discount. We paying the thing. That's your price. That's your price, right? So we want to make sure we are modeling exactly what we say. And I'm missing someone, our photographer. Oh my gosh, I wanted to say Amanda. What was her name?
She's from Roanoke, Virginia,
Oh
and it'll
gosh.
come to me, but she was fantastic.
Yes, she
Absolutely.
captured the essence of who we are. And so again, we wanted to bring those women into this space because without them, we would not be what we're doing right now. They've made it possible.
Yep.
So I know we've kept you a little bit longer than the hour. Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
Olivia Marone.
Olivia Marone. If you are in the Virginia Roanoke area and you love our pictures,
She was sweating by the time she was on the floor. She was here. She wait, I want to. I mean, she was amazing.
yeah.
Amazing.
So let me just reiterate. Reach out to Slay by Shay. Just look that up. This woman is fabulous with styling. Slay by Shay from
Yeah.
Dallas, Texas. Look up Soj Emporium, Soje. Keena Sage, my beautiful queen. I get my clothes and my earrings from her. Make sure you reach out to
Olivia Marone.
Olivia Marone if you're in the Virginia area, in the Roanoke area, if you want to have your pictures taken. And then to all of you who just been on this journey with us for the past 3 years to this, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I'm so grateful.
Have a good night, and we'll see you in January for the Unwrapped experience. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.